Welcome back to the LackLuster channel. Today's video is a response to the one I made yesterday. I released that video with the information that I had at the time, and since that video, the sheriff has released the body cam footage and has made a statement. Apparently, there's a police report out as well.
The cell phone camera footage that began viral circulation over the weekend does not comprehensively capture the circumstances surrounding this incident. Tonight I'm sharing the footage from the body-worn cameras of the arresting officer, Officer D. Bowers, and two of the assisting officers, Officer D. Miller and Officer G. Curse.
We'll include some of that and review some of what Officer Brendan Tatum says on his Substack. Most of you know who he is and know that he can make some ridiculous claims, and in this case, it is no different. First, he claims that the full body cam has been released, and while most of the relevant footage has been posted, we have only been granted the opportunity to view the incident from a few angles that the sheriff's office decided to show.
The currently available information and play the relevant body-worn camera.
Second, Tatum puts in bold lettering that JSO was justified in the force used against McNeil. He follows this statement by claiming that only the palm strike was being reviewed to determine whether it was in policy, and fails to mention the several other punches inflicted to McNeil despite agreeing to exit the vehicle.
Step out now. All right.
And placing his hands behind his back.
Behind your back! I'm resisting! Behind your back!
Within his defense of complete dog shit, he claims that nothing was criminal in the officer's actions. And sure, the DA hasn't filed criminal charges, but we expect the government to protect itself. The DA is often referred to as the county's top cop. No charges does not mean no criminal activity. Tatum correctly states that the law gives officers discretion to use reasonable force during arrests, but incorrectly adds that that's what we saw in the video. So, before we watch the videos, let's discuss what reasonable force is and when officers are lawfully allowed to use it. We can start with the first body cam of the deputy that initiated the stop and compare it to Tatum's assertions. He claims that McNeil's headlights were not on and that he was not wearing a seatbelt. But the suspended license and having marijuana are facts that were only revealed as a result of an unlawful traffic stop conducted by JSO. The probable cause, as stated by the deputy, was that his headlights weren't on. But again, the law states during any rain, smoke, or fog, none of which were present. And as to the claims of not wearing a seatbelt, the officer transmits over the radio that he didn't have any details about the occupant or occupants of the vehicle prior to McNeil opening his door.
Yeah, Florida 24 Bravo Echo Charlie Whiskey on a silver Kia unknown occupants.
These two facts eliminate all probable cause for the entire stop, which means everything that occurs after this moment was unlawful, and only occurred because the deputies on scene were untrained as to their profession. But even worse still is that the responding officer was not wearing a seatbelt, and several of the other backup units also failed to use their headlights. It's a good thing that it wasn't unlawful to do so, but let's pretend that it was, and by refusing to identify here, McNeil was breaking the law.
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason why you're popping the door open like that?
I don't have a window that works. Is there a reason that you're pulling me over?
Yeah, absolutely there's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. Two things, you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's daylight. I don't need the lights. And it's not weather. It's not raining.
Oh, this is inclement?
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
No, call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor. Why did you pull me over?
77, 35. I'm quite a driver. I've already told you.
Why did you pull me over?
Step out of the vehicle.
No.
Step out of the vehicle.
Specifically, this would be resisting, obstructing, and delay in Florida, as they do not have a refusal to ID law. Next, Tatum thinks that the officers used a proportionate amount of force for the situation, because he's a bootlicking moron.
The law requires that a person comply with the police officer's commands during a traffic stop.
To understand why, let's look at the law that Tatum fails to explain in his obvious GPT article. Reasonable force is determined by two cases, Graham v. Connor and Tennessee v. Garner. Together, they've created use of force guidelines for law enforcement. First, the court must judge the officers based on the Fourth Amendment's objective reasonableness test. This requires officers to base their use of force on the totality of the facts and circumstances. Here, the entire case for the deputies fails immediately due to the insufficient probable cause.
Echo Charlie Whiskey on a silver Kia, unoccupants.
But if the vehicle extraction was lawful, the amount of force used must take into consideration the severity of the crime, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat, and whether they were actively resisting or attempting to flee. By now, you may have heard that McNeil had a knife, but who the fuck doesn't? It was never in his hand, and upon review of the video, he never even reached for it, despite the officer's lies on the police report. But we'll return to that point in a minute. McNeil was at best passively resisting an unlawful arrest, and never attempted to flee. And the severity of the crime was so incredibly low that nearly every officer that responded to the scene was in active violation of the same law McNeil was originally pulled over for. No headlights, no headlights, no headlights. Not to mention that once the door was opened and he was ordered out of the vehicle, McNeil responded with, "All right,"
Step out now. All right.
and likely would have allowed the deputies to remove him, cuff him, and put him in a cruiser. But instead, 3 deputies pulled him in opposite directions while they punched him and threw him to the ground. In fact, when viewing the body cam frame by frame, McNeil can be seen putting his hands behind his back before saying, "No, don't punch me." But despite Neil saying, "Don't punch me,"
Get on the ground. No, don't fucking get on the ground. Stop fighting. Get on the ground. No, don't fucking get on the ground. Step out now. All right. Get on the ground. No, don't fucking get on the ground.
the records clerk added subtitles that read, "Don't touch me,"
Get on the ground. No, don't fucking get on.
seconds before being punched a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and 7th time.
Stop fighting. Behind your back. I'm resisting. Stand behind your back.
The same clerk added "officer unintelligible" when the officer yells clearly, "Stop fighting,"
Stop fighting.
before punching McNeil in the legs and lower body several times, though McNeil already had his hands behind his back despite being punched in the face twice, thrown to the ground, and having his face mashed into the pavement. After the incident, Deputy Bowers wrote in his incident report, "The suspect was reaching for the floorboard of the vehicle where a large knife was sitting." This was obviously written to obfuscate the truth so idiots like Tatum would point and say, "See, had knife," and to justify what he already knew was excessive force. Because let's face it, if the officer didn't know that it was excessive force, why lie about it in the report?
Soon after McNeil was outside his car, officers found a large, unsheathed serrated knife on the driver's side floorboard.
But the fact is, the deputy knew that the incident was being recorded from inside the vehicle, which clearly showed that McNeil never even so much as glanced towards the knife.
I did.
But I bet he took days off for his injured hand.
What's going on, man? You're under arrest. That's what's going on. So your partner beat me. Hey, man, what you mean? Nothing wrong.
I don't know.
Can you back me up to the car so I can lean up? Sit up. You done broke my bro.
25 cents. You start rescue.
And now, we're adding even more policy violations on top of the unlawful stop and excessive force. Officer Tatum ended his article with a bunch of racially charged sentiments that no one but McNeil's attorney alleged. But, like Tatum says, let's see what the courts think. But his final statement is the best of all. It reads, quote, "I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you comply, you won't die." It's as simple as that. Funny, he said the same thing about the murder of Tyree Nichols, who was beat to death by several cops while laying motionless in handcuffs. This also occurred during a traffic stop with no probable cause.
And the young man here can save his life by just listening to what they say. This ain't a courtroom. Y'all could get this crackhead Well, not a crackhead, he kind of looked like a crackhead. I don't know if he's on crack. You go to fighting, you go to resisting, you go to running, you're going to necessitate a response of a use of force. Kids, children that are out there, learn from these police officers. Citizens, if you ride in the car, you get pulled over. When they tell you to do something, you do it. It's really not that hard. Do you want to live or do you not want to live? Most of the time, and this is my training and experience, when you obey the police officers, we done real fast.
And despite the 2 officers that took plea deals for their actions, the rest were acquitted, other than witness tampering charges. Why? Because the US finds itself in a similar time as when George Washington rafted across the Delaware River to greet the Redcoats and to wish them a very Merry Christmas by making the snow change colors to the same shade as their uniform. It's red. Redcoats. He made them bleed. And, just by sheer coincidence, the etymology for the word sheriff is Old English. You didn't get this wrong. Don't let them gaslight you to think that you did. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you have an incident that you want me to review, reach out. The link below will allow you to submit your videos and other evidence. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Although the state attorney's office has deemed it not criminal, the response to resistance is now subject of a pending administrative review to determine if Bauer's conduct violated JSO policy. McNeil was arrested for resisting a police officer without violence, driving on a suspended driver's license, and possession of less than 20 grams of marijuana. Now, JSO will conduct a thorough investigation to determine whether Officer Bowers acted appropriately with respect to JSO policy. Officer Bowers has been stripped of his law enforcement authority. Effective immediately, all video footage presented in this briefing is available on all JSO social media platforms, YouTube, and JSO's transparency page.
I can understand the officer punching the window out, but what I don't understand is, and I know you said that this was not ruled criminal, sucker punching the guy in the jaw.
First of all, let me stop you. Not a sucker punch. I'm not excusing that administratively. I'm gonna say that to you one more time. I'm not excusing that administratively. There are things that we definitely need to look at, but the context of this video should tell you everything you need to know.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle!
Not a sucker punch. Not a sucker punch. Not a sucker punch. Not a sucker punch.
Behind your back! I'm resisting! Behind your back!
Not a sucker punch.
He charged him with resisting arrest without violence, so I saw a lot of violence. I think the public saw a lot of violence against somebody that was not violent.
Well, first of all, Eric, don't try to talk the public into what they saw. They just saw the same videos you saw.
Discrepancies people were seeing between the police report and what we saw in the video. And even what we saw in that video was the allegation that McNeil had reached down for the knife. That was in the police report. But
Where'd you see, what police report did you see that in?
In the arrest report for McNeil, that was stated that the officer saw him, reach for the knife that was on the floorboard. The video that was posted to social media, and even in there, I couldn't see any clear indication of that. I mean, do you see that when you're watching this?
No, actually, I don't see where his hands are.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle! Show me your hands.
Here.
I can't assume, Jake. I'm not trying this case in front of the public. I'm trying to give the public the information in context of what happened. When force is used, a response to resistance report is written. It goes to the supervisors. The supervisors then, at that point, review body cam footage. So they would have reviewed this. But you can't see, admittedly, you can't see the strike at all. Had they seen that, it probably would have risen to another level to where somebody else would have gone further.
Here's that one of the officers kind of turns off, the video turns off what's being recorded. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know that he turned it off. I know that at some point we stopped it.
Was it appropriate for the officer to punch this guy in the jaw after he'd already broken the window? Was that, yes and no, was that appropriate?
It depends on the circumstances. But it's already determined it's not criminal. Now we're going to look for JSO policy violations. How about that? Is that good?
Well, if a civilian did that to another civilian, they would be in handcuffs.
No, not necessarily. It depends on the circumstances, the situation.
You think the public is going to buy that?
I don't know.